Hello, everybody. It is your Professor Rocco, your boy, coming at you once again with another Age of Sigmar video. In this class, I think I figured out my sound setting so I can be all energetic and not blow out my speakers or your ears. But more importantly, we have General's Handbook leaks. That's right, the Season 2 2023 General's Handbook for January until the summer was leaked. Some content creator that had a watermarked version outed themselves as being a jerk, trying to get bragging rights on the internet. And we get to profit off of them losing their Games Workshop because the whole thing is out. It's great. And I don't have a non-disclosure agreement. I do not have one. So I can talk about this. It's neat. It's nice. I love it. And without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Alright, we got a new term getting thrown around. What's a GC? We had GVs, Galatian veterans. Well, this General's Handbook is now not focused on infantry and is focused on Galatian champions, a GC, which, as we see here, is a hero with a wounds characteristic of less than 10, so 9 or lower, that does not have a mount and is not unique. There's a little bit of debate about characters that have companions that count as mounts. I know that, well, through different Games Workshop social media channels, they've said it'll be fine until it's written in a day one FAQ. I'm holding, I'm just gonna act like it doesn't exist and they don't count. But this is what the whole thing is themed after: more survivable foot heroes. And honestly, it's some pretty good rules here. One of the things with this, just in general, I don't actually know if I had the picture of it now that I'm thinking about this and we're here, is that the main rule is if a hero is within an inch of an, you can actually see here in the focus on your mark rule for the Galatian sharpshooters, Games Workshop broke their whole scheme. Now let me back up because it sounds like I'm wobbling a little bit, but it's just I have to explain it and say my piece. Last General's Handbook, we had a thing where, Galatian veterans could count for battle tactics and extra models, and they really tried to push a horde meta. To counteract that, Games Workshop put in a battalion that specifically gave you extra damage against those types of troops. And it led to a lot of mixed reactions where eventually, through the course of the General's Handbook, people kind of begrudgingly still took those troops anyway, full well knowing that they were just going to die horribly. And with these battalions, we kind of have a little bit of a repeat, but it is a bit different. So the new rule is Galatian champions that are within an inch of friendly battle line units cannot be targeted by shooting attacks. The Galatian sharpshooters battalion is a 3-job where you have to take 3 infantry units, and shooting units there are allowed to break the rule. What this means is, more likely than not, armies are going to be at least 4 drops, generally a battle regiment and a full set of Galatian sharpshooters. Or you're going to see that with a Galatian veterans battalion down below, which is going to be brand new, which is the Bonds of Battle ability. When a model in this battalion makes an attack with a melee weapon, you can target an enemy that is within half an inch of another model. So long story short, you get to fight in 2 ranks with your stuff. Beginning, end of statement. There's a lot of rules that go, a lot of explanation, but you fight in 2 ranks. And then the actual first battalion on this thing, Galatian Command, which also is what screwed me up personally with the GC talk, is that a Galatian champion is picked to fight in the combat phase for the first time, its sworn bodyguard unit, uh, that is wholly within 6, hopefully, of the champion, will get to fight right after, which is really cool. Oh, just a cool rule. There are some heroes that have this already, uh, like the Savage Auric War Boss has an ability to fight and then pick a unit after it. I think the Vampires, the Soulblight Gravelords had it tacked on in a White Dwarf. Um, but it's cool to have, and you're gonna see some fun combos with it. And again, it's Games Workshop is incentivizing you, the player, to not just have a one-drop list. And they were very successful last General's Handbook, where a lot of 3-drop armies or higher happened because you like the Warlord battalions, you like the specialty battalions, and I think, like, for me personally, most of my armies, the infantry either has 2-inch reach, so I'm already fighting in 2 ranks, or they're on 25mm bases, so I was already fighting in 2 ranks. With my Cities of Sigmar, my Deepkin, my Stormcast, where like I have the Vindictors with the spears. So I don't know that I would actually need to take a Galatian Veterans battalion personally, but like ogres are gonna be all over that. And the focus on your mark. Again, if Galatian champions do end up becoming a problem, we have a solution. I can appreciate that. The thing that gets me, though, that I like the most about this is the only thing that can go in a Galatian sharpshooter battalion are infantry units. So this is like your sentinels, right? The scary word there. Iron Drakes with their shooting. That kind of a thing. Not war machines. Excuse me. It's not. That's how excited I am about this. Not your Celestar ballistas, not your warp lightning cannons. And the infantry has to be 4 wounds or less, so not the big Skaven monstrosities with the guns strapped to them. The goodness. It's been a little bit since I looked it up. So we're gonna fact check this in real time here. Because I have my app. Not Storm Vermin. Skaven, looking up the War Scroll right now. It's the Clan Scryer unit that has the Brain Rats. Storm Fiends. Also to note, the Warp Block Jazale's counters artillery, so they wouldn't get the benefit of this either. But Stormcast Long Strikes would, because they're just a unit currently. So the whole idea of artillery now being focused back on their original role of fighting units of troops and trying to take out enemy monsters instead of just smushing a 5-wound hero to death. That's a great balance. They did it. I mean, I missed that from fantasy. I don't know how many people actually care in Age of Sigmar, but hey, we have it, And we know overall the rule about, having an updated lookout server, you can't just shoot the hero, works very well in Games Workshop's other game, Warhammer 40k. People love that rule there for all their buffing heroes. It'll be interesting. And we also have on this slide the grand strategies that are focused around these GCs here. Well, we kept 4 of them. Tame the Land, which was control all the objectives that are wholly outside of your territory. That's still really rough. Defend what's ours. Make sure there's no enemy units wholly within your territory. Take what's theirs, which is make sure they're more friendly than enemy units wholly within enemy territory, which is pretty doable. And then we have, I guess it was 3. Stake a claim. When the battle ends, you complete this if you have 3 or more friendly Galatian champions that are wholly within enemy territory. This one's going to be very hard because unless you brought maybe 6 Galatian champion heroes, because you have to be a hero. You don't need to be a leader. You need to at least be a hero. So this is gonna be like the time for Fire Slayers and for Night Haunt to really shine. But you need 3 of them to survive the battle and be wholly within enemy territory. A lot of these foot heroes move somewhere between 4 and 6 inches. If I'm in cities, I've got a Rune Lord, I've got a Battle Mage, and now maybe I have like an Anointed on foot. But that's all I'd ever want to take. So this isn't something that I would be able to build for. Orc armies, Ogre Maw tribes, and again, Death factions seem to be okay with this. With the Night Haunt and the Soulblight Gravelords, I don't think Ossiarchs are gonna love this. And a lot of people really do like bringing one big stompy monster that is like 400 some odd points. So changing your build up to do this, and then you still need to have 3 or more of them survive and get to the other side of the battlefield. I don't know that Stake a Claim is going to be that doable. Then we have Survivor's Instinct, where when the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy. If the model you picked to be your general is a Galatian champion, and that model is contesting an objective wholly outside your territory, this is doable. Especially if they have some kind of cool bodyguard backing them up, keeping them alive. But again, the problem there to me is then if you run into someone with the Galatian Sharpshooters battalion, they just take out your general, who also is how you generate command points reliably for the round. And if they're also your general, you probably have other synergies with command traits that you need this person alive. I don't know how tenable that is. But it's interesting. It's doable. If you're an ogre in, say, Underguts, and you've got the Tyrant there, and you give them the big name for the ward save, yeah, okay. This makes sense to me. The day is ours. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if there are more friendly Galatian champions from your starting army than from your opponent's starting army. This reminds me of the, kill all the enemy battle line, make sure your battle line's alive, and there isn't. Same vein. I like it. I do. Because you know what? If I'm going to win a game of Warhammer, I'm probably going to need to kill the enemy heroes. Just, this is what you do. And if it's something I'm already planning on doing, and I don't have to try and kill like an ethereal Stonehorn, yeah, this is great. This is doable. This is nice. I like it. Just protect your own heroes. Make sure you have like 2, and then just, go at your opponent. And I'm doing it anyway. Makes sense to me. Also, they've clarified the term starting army to help make sure that, you don't just summon on more heroes. Because then that would make things like Chaos very broken. Or even Seraphon with their ability to summon for their Starborn sub-factions. You get the idea. Overall, I do like them. I think Stake a Claim is ridiculous. And unless you're like Fire Slayers, where you're bringing all those other heroes that aren't leaders anyway to fight, I would maybe choose one of the other ones or look to your Battle Tome for something that's a little bit more consistent for you. I really do like the Day is Ours. Excuse me. Now here we go, the new battle tactics. This was the one in my mind. We had 4 new ones and 4 old ones. And this was something that was talked about in what y'all were looking for me to cover at the beginning of a general's handbook and then, catching up later. So this is bold statement time, all right? And same rules apply at the start of your hero phase. You must pick one battle tactic from the list below. You must reveal it to your opponent. And if you have to pick something, you must tell your opponent what you're picking to do. You have until the end of the turn to complete the battle tactic. You can't pick the same battle tactic more than once per battle. So we have gaining momentum, making a return. Pick one enemy unit on the battlefield. Complete this battle tactic. If that unit is destroyed this turn, and you control more objectives than your opponent at the end of this turn. Again, especially if, you have 2 objectives, they have 3, and you need to kill the one unit that's on the one objective anyway to just take it. Wonderful battle tactic to call that out and do that with. It's great. Do it. Life's wonderful. An eye for an eye. Again, the classic. If you lost a friendly unit in the previous turn, destroy an enemy unit. Nice and easy. Desecrate their lands. Pick one terrain feature or faction terrain feature that is partially or wholly within enemy territory. And a lot of people sleep on the partially bit because, when you're setting up a board and you actually use several large terrain features, there's going to be times where just like a little corner of something, maybe a few inches in, goes into the other person's territory. And you're like, yeah, cool, that's sticking out so far. Desecrate their lands, top of 1, get that out of the way. And really, you just have to outnumber your opponent to control that terrain feature. It's nice. It's easy. I love it. And for armies that don't have Galatian champions, and again, I'm going to say Deepkin for now. They're saying they might fix it. But Deepkin, because they all have like little fish or familiars, and Mega Gargants. The first 3 are very doable, and it's just where we're living right now. Okay? And that's okay. That is okay. And the 4th one is this one's mine. Pick one enemy unit on the battlefield. You complete this if it is destroyed during this turn by an attack made by the model picked to be your general. Which is great. 4, very doable if you do not have a GC. Gaining momentum, again, is one that you're going to probably do anyway throughout the course of a game. An eye for an eye. Again, it's just relying on your opponent having killed one of your units first. Where does this come in? The cheap screening unit you threw up on an objective that just died. You lost 70 points and they walk closer to you. It's dead. You're like, yeah, cool. Eye for an eye, dude. You killed my 3 Aether Wings. Now I'm going to wreck your whole army. Desecrate their lands. Again, this is not even reliant on your opponent doing anything. You just have to walk near a terrain feature. And this one's mine. Again, if you are having your general still be like an Achillean king on Deepmare, or some kind of Mega Gargant, or whatever, a Maw Crusher, this one's mine, still very doable. And then it's just look to your White Dwarfs or your Battle Tome to find a 5th battle tactic to try. For Deepkin players specifically, we have one that's like kill an enemy unit that's near your boat terrain feature. Great. Another one was like Assassin of the High Tides, kill so many units when it's the high tide turn. We have enough now with the books that are out that this is okay. And then we've got some new ones. A Matter of Honor. Pick one enemy Galatian champion or sworn bodyguard unit on the battlefield. You complete this battle tactic if that unit is destroyed This turn by an attack made by a friendly Galatian champion or sworn bodyguard unit. And that's pretty nice. And again, the sworn bodyguard is connected to the Galatian champion, where they can fight one after the other. The bodyguard acts as like a little bodyguard, I believe, to shut wounds off and die in their place. It's the kind of the theme to actually make these foot heroes survivable, and it's thematic. It's a free guild general on foot with his great swords, rocking up to someone and going, and I'll kill you, and killing them. Or brutes and Iron Jaws backing up a mega boss on foot. Graveguard backing up a White King. I get it. It's nice. Um, it's reliant on both parties having a Galatian champion and a sworn bodyguard unit on the battlefield still. So you probably want to do this battle round 2, battle round 3 is your armies really clash and get in on each other. Just because you want to make sure you still have your half and you haven't killed off your opponent's half of this. There's a few moving parts, but again, it's still nice. We have lead the assault. You complete this battle tactic if at least 2 objectives you control are in enemy territory and are each contested by any friendly Galatian champions. Again, this is a little bit. All right, let me break this down here. Let the professor talk here, okay? So first off, you need to have 2 objectives that need to be in enemy territory, the other side of the table. And then you need to have them both have a friendly Galatian champion on there. So you need 2 foot heroes to get on the other side of the board somehow, not die, and be on there. This is, if you're scoring this, you've either won the game in the first couple turns, or your opponent's mostly tabled and that you have like scraps. Like you've got like a priest and a wizard that somehow walked around or like has a teleporting spell, or you got something going on here. And you're a little bit desperate and scrambling for battle tactics. Those are the 2 scenarios in my mind when you'd use this, because you'd have to generally get through your opponent's army to do this. I mean, if they're not screening properly and they just let you teleport onto there or deep strike onto there, that's their problem. And good job for you scoring that battle tactic when you very much should not have been able to. So good job. Use those movement shenanigans. Remember to spend a command point to auto run 6 inches on a foot guy or a gal, and they just get up on that objective. I mean, again, it's the enemy tear. If it was like No Man's Land, I would like this a little bit more. It's just there's a lot of things that have to happen in order for you to score this. But I mean, technically, you don't have to kill anything of your opponents. You just have to take the objectives with your foot heroes, right? So it's doable. That's nice. What's next? We have United Offense. Pick 1 objective controlled by your opponent. You complete this battle tactic if you control that objective, and 2 or more friendly Galatian champions are contesting that objective at the end of this turn. Again, it's another take an enemy's objective, which you want to do anyway, and have 2 or more friendly Galatian champion heroes on there at the same time. So, thankfully I'm comfy in my nice sweater I got on. But, This United offense doesn't really make me feel warm and fuzzy like my sweater, because this just feels like I have to do this early in the game. Like, okay, hear me out. I'm going second in the first battle round. My opponent moved up, took an objective in no man's land. I can charge a couple foot heroes and the rest of my army to take the objective. Great. They didn't kill my heroes to start with. I was smart and had them next to battle line units so they couldn't get shot. I maybe had something in reserve and I teleported later, whatever. This could be a really nice opening battle tactic, because if you do this and then you get the other four easy ones at the top of this, or even maybe a lead the assault to follow up on your next turn, because if you're in no man's land, what's to say, you moved up the 12 inches to get to no man's land. You can't be that much farther from their territory, right? So I like United offense. I'm okay on lead the assault. I do not necessarily like a matter of honor because there's a lot of things that have to be involved to score it, but it's cool. I think that's the important part. Like, from a competitive standpoint, I would never bank on doing a matter of honor. Never. I would focus on the first four battle tactics and lead the assault or united offense. But then we get to cunning maneuver. Pick one friendly Galatian champion on the battlefield that is more than 3 inches away from all enemy units, right? So, not in combat. You complete this battle tactic if, at the end of the turn, that Galatian champion is more than 3 inches from all enemy units and is contesting an objective you control that is wholly outside your territory. This is extremely doable. This is great. This is fantastic. Because, again, it's, hey, do you have a hero that's not fighting anybody? Cool. Do they want to walk onto an objective where there's no enemy units anyway, and you own the objective? This one's a freebie. So I think what we get coming through here, as long as you have Galatian champion units in your army, cunning maneuver is great. United offense, great. Lead the assault, it's okay. Again, a lot of things have to happen over the course of the game for you to be able to reliably score this, which is generally you have 2 foot heroes that lived long enough to get to the other side of the board, seemingly having gone through the enemy army. Again, not impossible. It's just, that's a lot. That is a lot. And then you've got the 4 standard ones from before that are all doable. And then again, a matter of honor it's flavorful. I like it. It should be on this list. And it's going to lead to some cinematic showdowns, too, between people that actually can pull this off. But, like, if I'm rocking up with Mega Gargants, I don't have the models for this. And if I run into Mega Gargant, it's just... a certain set of things has to happen for a matter of honor to work. And lead the assault, a game has to be played. A matter of honor, the lists have to match up, let alone playing the game. So... overall, love the battle tactics. And again, once you get a chance to do a matter of honor, you're going to be so happy. Like, it's going to be like a mega boss and a bunch of Iron Jaws running at, I don't know, a tyrant for the ogres and a bunch of Iron Guts. And they just smash into each other. And it's going to be really freaking cool. So yeah, I like them. And I think going into the season, because people are going to be really familiar still with the first 4 battle tactics on this list, they're still going to be really popular picks. And again, as long as we still have access to the book battle tactics, which we need to, because there will be armies that can't do all of these. It's okay. It's good. we'll learn how to adapt and keep playing like we do every time anyway. And I believe in you, dear student. You got this. All right, so what if I wanted to use realm magic and the enhancements? Um, so some people keep forgetting that realm magic keeps happening. Like last General's Handbook, we had a spell that made a unit count for half as many models on an objective. This time around, we get the Grinding Teeth of Gallet, which is a spell, goes off on a 6, has a 12-inch range. If successfully cast, pick one objective within range invisible to the caster. Roll a dice for each unit within 6 inches of that objective. On a 4-up, that unit suffers d6 mortal wounds. This is a very short range spell, and it will hit friendly units as well as enemy units because it's just unit. Each unit. And this is a spell that all wizards know in addition to whatever they know when playing in this General's Handbook. I mean, I like it, because you just need to be within 6 inches of an objective to capture it or be around it. So if, let's say, someone's on their home objective in their deployment zone and you were able to, like, teleport top of one right in front of them, and with a 12-inch range, you can hit their objective, stay outside 9 of their units. They've got, like, 4 or 5 units there. Or maybe you're shooting this from, like, an umbral spell portal. Yeah, it's a great spell. It's on a 4-up, and it's d6 mortal wounds, so it can be swingy. But, if you're rolling hot and you're hitting, like, 3 or 4 4-ups and getting, like, 3 to 4 mortal wounds on each d6 roll, it's going to work. Then we have the Realm Command, which is the other thing people keep forgetting, including myself. I don't even remember what the other one was. Not going to lie. I remember a few General's Handbooks ago, one of them was, like, have the monster fight on its top bracket, which was cool. This one is no retreat, no surrender. You can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. The unit that receives this command ability must be a friendly unit that is not a hero or monster that did not charge in the same turn and that is within 3 inches of an enemy unit, also known as combat range. That unit cannot make pile-in moves in that phase, but it adds 1 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapons used by that unit until the end of the phase, excluding those of mounts, if it has any. So you give up the ability to pile in to get extra attacks on your stuff. And that is really freaking awesome. So if you already are using your heroes to give off aura buffs, or like I'm gonna use Deepkin, that's what I'm familiar with, that's what I've been playing a lot recently. So hear me out. The turtle, Shelly Baby Girl, the Leviathan, gives out an aura of +1 to hit for Namarta units if the enemy they're attacking is within so many inches of the turtle. I want to say it's wholly within 12, and then there's a mount trait that I always take to make it longer, which is why I never actually remember the true distance of the ability. So that's a +1 to hit for, say, a unit of 20 thralls. They have 2 attacks base, and they have a rule where if they go into a unit with 3 or more wounds, they get extra damage on their weapon. If they go into 1 wound infantry, they get extra attacks. You pop this. The 2 base attacks goes to 3 normally if it's 1 wound infantry. Now it's 4. So 20 times 4 is 80, plus an extra 1 for the champ. 81 attacks from 20 thralls. This is going to be dirty. And they have 2-inch reach, so what do you care about piling in if you're surrounded, This is... Because you didn't charge, you got charged. Your opponent wrapped around your unit because they want you dead. As long as you can survive to fight, because this is at the start of the combat phase. So this is, you've been charged by something. Excuse me. And you know, once you give this to a unit, that your opponent will probably choose to fight them first to limit how much comes back at them. To me, this realm command is more of, say, your opponent charged to take an objective somewhere, and then they charged a lot of units in. They didn't listen to Rocco, where it's you charge 1 unit or 3 units, so you can win the how you activate units. And they're like, yeah, I just charged everything in, and this makes them have to make a difficult decision. Do they pick a good combat to kill a unit to take an objective, or do they take the combat on the unit you pop this on that if they don't attack first will get wiped? Chosen from the new Chaos Battle Tome are gonna love this. Chaos Warriors will love this. I mean, I don't think there's anyone that wouldn't like this, actually. A Phoenix Guard would love this. You getting my point here. Witch Elves, Sisters of Slaughter. Because at this point, your unit's already surrounded, right? So what do you care? You're just using this to make your opponent make a bad choice. Do they try to score points or kill the unit you spent a command point on? Not to mention, there's just a chance that they just don't kill that unit anyway. So I like this a lot. I like the spell, too. Am I going to remember it? Probably not. Am I going to try to when I'm shooting it through a spell portal at somebody? Maybe. It's fun. It's just fun. Then we have relics here, where we have 3 new relics. Well, 2. Well, I mean, I think the Tusk Helm's been around too. We got 3 relics for this General's Handbook that you could choose from if you want. One is the Tusk Helm. After the bearer makes the charge move, you pick 1 enemy unit within an inch of the bearer and roll a number of dice equal to the unmodified charge roll. For each 4-up, the target suffers a mortal wound. If you have this ability already, if the bearer already has an ability with an effect that triggers after they make the charge move, you must pick which effect applies. You cannot use both. So think of it as like an ogre charge, where, again, ogre maw tribes, they roll, a 10 on the dice. Depending on the size of the unit, they pick up the dice. They roll 10 dice, and then they roll to see if they need like a 4, a 5, or a 6. A 4 if it's a monster, a 5 if it's a large unit, a 6 if it's a single or hero or a small unit. And go. This is just saying, hey, do you want to make your hero have a 4-up impact hit on their charge moves? You roll a 10, you get 10 dice. Do you want to fish for 6s or do you want to fish for 4s? Give them the Tusk Helm. Love the artifact. It makes these foot heroes, because these are specifically for Galatian champions, it makes them feel really nice. Next, we have the Night Flyer cloak. During deployment, instead of setting up the bearer on the battlefield, you can place them to one side and say that they're set up in ambush as a reserve unit. At the end of your movement phase, you can set up the bearer anywhere on the battlefield within 1 inch of a friendly battle line unit and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. Now here is the interesting part. Normally, the modifier to this is whatever's in reserve has to come down the latest Battle Round 3's movement phase, the end of that movement phase. That modifier, as is right now, is not here. So if you want to just save a cheap hero to throw around later, or you're worried it's going to get sniped and this is like your wizard or something that you're trying to protect, and you're setting up for a double turn, or you're setting up for some kind of cool combo, here we are. This is nice. Then finally, the Griff Feather Charm makes a return. The bearer has a 5-up ward save. Okay. Also really good. That's one way to make these foot heroes that generally have 5 wounds and a 4-up save live longer. Yeah, I'm not mad with that. That's good. These are 3 really good artifacts that are gonna see a lot of use. Is it an arcane tome? No. I wasn't using. I mean, I was using the arcane tome. Don't get me wrong. But like, I really like the Tusk Helm. I really like the deep striking. Whether that's going to be FAQ'd and errata and fixed, I don't know. And a 5-up ward is just always nice. They're good. I know we have unique enhancements for these Galatian champions that are their warlord traits, where or command traits, where you pick this instead of one from your book, which is Tunnel Master once per battle. Instead of picking this Galatian champion to make a normal move, you get a teleport. Again, be 9 inches away from all enemy units. It's once per battle, it's situational, but if you're an army that doesn't really have teleports and doesn't have a lot of movement tricks, and you need to reposition your hero to get them out of trouble or to get their buff in a certain spot, really you just need the once per game thing, because if you do your combo right, it's worth it. You know, Warhammer is a game about opportunity cost and diminishing reserves. Generally, the longer you hold on to something, uh, like a buff, like the +1 attacks. You know, you're saving that command, but oh, I'll wait the next battle round on it. I'll wait. Eventually, you're gonna run out of stuff to use it with. So then, it's gonna be less impactful. And if it's, your opponent went hard at your Tunnel Master and you just juked them to pop over to safety, that's worth it. To get the buff to a better spot, that's worth it. To steal an objective, totally worth it. It's good. Next we have Fueled by Gurish Rage. Once per battle again, before you allocate a wound or mortal wound, that would cause the hero to be slain, roll a dice. On a 3-up, that wound or mortal wound is negated. You heal up to D3 wounds allocated to that hero, and any wounds that would remain to be allocated are negated. So really, the first time the character goes to die, roll a dice. On a 3 or higher, they're fine. They heal a little bit, and if you had more damage to put into them, it's just gone. Which is great that it's once per battle, because it gives your hero a second chance at life. Wonderful. Wonderful trait. And again, it's that little bit more survivability. It's you throw that in with the Griff Feather Charm, and people are going to be hating trying to lift your 5 wound hero. Then we still have the heroic actions of best day ever, which is really, their finest hour. I'm never gonna not say the derpy joke name of it, because it's how it's stuck in my memory, so I don't forget it. Which is their finest hour is +1 to save for that turn, and +1 to wound for that turn, and it goes away once per game again. If you need to pop all these things to make your hero just never die, and then they do somehow get through, and then you're fueled by Gurish Rage and get that 3-up, it's gonna feel great. Especially if they haven't attacked yet, and then you just get your turn. These are foot heroes, they don't degrade. Excuse me. So if you're in some kind of a duel, or if they're, again, putting out some kind of an aura that buffs your troops, this is fantastic. Then we have Stubborn as a Rhinox. This Galatian champ also counts as 10 models for the purposes of contesting objectives, while there are no enemy Galatian champions controlling the same objective. Again, love it. I assume that as soon as another champion comes around, they just get so caught up in wanting to fight them, they just stop caring about the objective and go back to counting as 2 models. But yeah, Great rule. We have leadership of the alpha. Once per battle. Again. This Galatian champion can issue one of the following commands up to 3 times in the same phase. Rally, all-out attack, all-out defense, or redeploy. It doesn't. If it does so, no command point is spent on the second and third times this Galatian champion issues that command in that phase. Are you a shooting army? And you want to give out 3 instances of all-out attack to give, let's say, your turtle a unit of 30 reavers, or heck, let's go with the scary thing. Let's say you want to give all-out attack to 3 units of bow snakes. Yeah, you did it. Or 3 units get to rally on that 4-up rally aura. Yep. That actually, now I'm thinking about it. I think that's actually that's a command trait, not an artifact for the aura. Okay. So let's scrap the Daughters of Cain idea. Keep the shooting. Still 3 units rallying. There are units that have the ability to rally on a 5-up anyway. With musicians, I'm thinking of like Vanquishers for Stormcast, so let's stick with that. And I'm sure there's others. And just even having several units rally can be very frustrating, even if it's just returning models on 6s. Or 3 units doing all-out defense if you got alpha struck, or if you need to back up because they're coming close, 3 units redeploy. You know what? Again, Iron Jaws has an ability really similar to this off of the Mega Boss on Maw Crusher, and something like this almost makes me not worry about having the Maw Crusher for that. I'd still miss its output, but if I'm putting like the Tusk Helm on a Mega Boss and leadership of the Alpha and it's already angry, okay, yeah, sure. It is a good command trait, and it makes sense that it is once per battle. Will it take time to figure out how to use that one right, and what's the perfect scenario to use it? So you don't just like sit on it waiting to rally a bunch of units back. Yeah, it'll take time. But once you figure out the timing on that and when you want to use that, whether it's like, you want to redeploy or you want to all out defense because someone's alpha striking you, or if you want to do the alpha strike and you're issuing 3 rounds of all out attack, yeah, that seems really helpful if that's your game plan. I like it. I really, really, really like Fueled by Gurish Rage, though. Probably because I've played a Fire Phoenix in Cities that has an ability where on a 4-up, when it dies, it comes back to life. And also I believe it's the Freegal General on Griffin got something similar in a White Dwarf, if I remember right. So yeah, it's nice. Counting as more models on an objective is good. The Tunnel Master thing is nice for a teleport. Not to mention, you can still just use the ones in your battle tome. These are just extra tools in the toolbox to have. But wait, there's more, dear viewer. That's right. This one's going to be a little bit of a long one. But, hang on and I'll be right back through the magic of the internet and editing really badly. And welcome back, everybody. So this is going to look a little rough. But the other part of this is the Gallet Season 2 points. I will not be covering the battle plans this video. I'm going to dedicate a video to the battle plan specifically, probably next week. But there's an Imgur collection. It's a word I've only read. I've never actually said out loud if it's like Imgur, Imgur. I don't know. Tell me how to say that in the comments. Because it's just something that I've only ever read. But what was compiled here is the points changes. And someone went and did Sigmar's work here with the changes. So we are going to just quickly, as quickly as I can, because I like my videos kind of shorter anyway. We're already running a little long. Just do like a general look through here. First we start off with the Bone Reapers, and that is a lot of green for points drops. Catacross going down in points is something I probably never thought I'd see, having played against so much Bone Reapers. Nagash going down to just 900 points. I still think that's too high, but hey. The Soul Mason going up points because it's very popular. That's fine. Overall, good for the faction. The points are still very. When I look at Bone Reapers, the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, their points are so easy to swap heroes and units around to flavor and to taste because they're just so similar in points costs. Where I don't know that a lot of this is gonna do much because it seems like it's the named characters and the heroes that all really went down. The Mortek Guard stayed the same, the Harvesters stayed the same, the Crawler stayed the same. Archon the Black, who you generally take in this in recent iterations of Bone Reapers, stayed the same. I don't know that I would actually worry about Nagash. And the Nightmare Predator is still a really cool endless spell. And again, if I'm already bringing a Bone Shaper, I usually would like to bring a Leech Cavalos, who isn't gonna, because he's on a horse, he wouldn't be the GC. And I like Stalkers. I like Necropolis Stalkers in a 6-pack still. But I don't know that these changes really do much to what I'd want in this army anyway, because, like, I'm not taking Bone Shapers, I'm taking Archon the Black. I'm maybe taking Catacross, so that's cool. But all the stuff I'm taking anyway, whether it be a Crawler or the Mortek Guard or the Harvesters, which in some iteration with the Stalkers make up what you would see in a Bone Reaper force. I don't know that 10 points off of Death Riders is really going to make them come back into vogue. And this is enough points freed up to do other stuff. Next, we have Nighthaunt, who I think are going to just do really well in this Galatian Champions meta because their heroes are all what you'd want. It's a shame that the Hex Race and the Spirit Hosts went up points because they were very popular units, but they were very popular units. Black Coach went down. Arwalk the Drowner, I've played with him. He doesn't fit my play style. He is a good model. I like the impact hits to set up, say, like Dread Scythe Harridans, getting their +1 to hit and wound aura off a hurt unit. I like the teleporting. I think going down 5 points is fine. I think the Black Coach still probably needs a little adjustment somewhere. The Dreadblade Harrow going down is nice. The Karn Wraith going down. Karen Wraith, I'd never say it right. That's my boy right there, though. My boy Kevin, the Wraith, going down to 100. Love it. The Knight of Shrouds on foot and on Steed going down points. That's great. Guardian still staying the same. That's fine. Because their lists now, you usually would want to take at least one. Now I might take two. The Cruel Gas Cruciator not changing and just staying at 150 is fan-freaking-tastic. Because I don't care that their debuff of reducing damage by 1 doesn't stack. You only ever needed the 1 anyway. A lot of the damage in the game is either damage 1 or damage 2. Or then you have monsters that have like D6 damage, and it's like, yeah, you're fine. You love this. Kurdos and Lady Olander not changing points. I feel like they could have gone lower, but that's okay. The Lord Executioner being a melee hero is fine. The Scriptor Mortis going down 25 points. I don't know if that's low enough. Spirit Torment going up 5 points. That's understandable. The Tomb Banshee going down 25 points totally makes sense. It could probably go lower. Blade Geist Revenant's going up 5. Again, Scarlet Doom is a very popular army that will add up over time. Yeah, and you're not really between that, the Spirit Host, and Hex Raves. Lists got a bit more expensive with heroes that you didn't necessarily take, but if you were rocking Coven Throne Guard, the crossbows that apparently went down 25 points, I didn't even realize they went down that much. And Glaive Wraith Stalkers, Glaive Wraith Stalkers going down 4 for 80 points is not low enough for me. Mirborn Banshees going down is good. Dreadscythe Harridan staying the same is, again, I'm fine with that. I've played Quicksilver Dread in a tournament. I love it. Overall, again, it's good. It's healthy. The Spirit Hosts and Hex Rays are understandable. They're good for what they do. Being Hex Race, having tremendous movement, and Spirit Host being a bodyguard now since they lost their Mortal Wound touch. Again, I'm fine with all this. It makes sense to me. And if you had stocks in the Craven Throne Guard, you are loving life right now. We here in the Rocco household have stocks in Mirmorn Banshees. That's fine. That offsets the Spirit Torment. I think our list got cheaper for what we own and care about here. Flesh Eater Courts, ghouls went down. All right, so I had a friend of the channel here bring up how they think that Flesh Eater Courts in their new book just need to be the meat shield faction like Ogres is. Like everything's a 5-up save, but all the stuff gets extra wounds added to it. So its bulkiness and its wound count and wound density is what wins them games. As of right now, it is a rough time to be a Flesh Eater Courts fan. And y'all are just persevering really well. But like going up on the Ghoul King. I mean, if you were doing like a big block or two of ghouls, your list overall should still have gotten cheaper. The hero going up 5 points and the Ghoul King going up 5 points. What do you care? Your ghouls got cheaper that you were bringing anyway. The Archregent got cheaper. I don't know that these are enough points wise to really change the fate, especially with the flares and horrors not changing in points. I think the Corpse Bear Stampede is an amazing looking endless spell. I couldn't tell you what it does. I think the Chalice of Usharan staying the same if you're going to be spamming 120 ghouls now because they're so cheap is going to be great. And I think that the important thing here is the courtiers did not go either way in points. So you should be able to fit more stuff easier. And it's the stuff you were already bringing. And they didn't raise the points on the Ghoul King or the Terrorgeist with Ghoul King on it to the point where you wouldn't take them. Overall, fine. I think it's kind of a side grade, personally. Um, then there's Nagash again. They need a new book. They just need their time in the sun. They need more wounds on their models, and that's okay. We have next the Hedonites of Slaanesh that just got all these beautiful points drops from the Fiends to the Slayers. Everything, I think, but Glutos and where the Slangor Fiendbloods did not go down in points. It's still 3 for 110, and that is a travesty based on how beautiful those models are. But Slick Blade's going down, regular Seekers, the Chariots all going down, Myrmidesh Painbringers, 110 for 5 is a perfect price point for them. Celeste going down to 170 is fantastic. Blissbarb Seekers going down 10 points. Did the freaking the regular Blissbarbs, they went down. They must have went down. But it's cut off. The Twin Souls, I think it's like Umberesh Twin Souls. I'm okay with them at 130 anyway. But the Painbringers being the more tanky option, but being so expensive for what you got compared to other factions, like 5 of these at 110 is like the Stormcast battle line, or their equivalent in Chaos Warriors, but Chaos Warriors are still better because you get 10 of them for a bit more, and then they can take marks and banners. I think that for a long time, Shalaxi going down 40 is amazing. I think for a very long time, I don't even care that Sigvald went up 5 points, because everything else in the list that you would bring went down so drastically. You're fitting in another probably 2 units of stuff. I think that Slaanesh paid for its sins when it came out as a broken book with the model updates for the Keeper's Secrets in 2nd edition. And I think that it's paying for the fact that it has a good summoning pool table, and that now you're, through the White Dwarf update, you are encouraged to not spend your depravity points. If you hold on to them, you get extra bonuses. I think this is great for Slaanesh. This should help them out a lot. Next, we have the Gravelords, who oddly are starting to be due for a new book soon. Having the Exile Dead and whoever that is, the Exile, one of the Underworld's war bands, they're all going down points because no one takes them, and that's okay. Luca Vi, Mother of Nightmares, going down 25 points when really you'd ever only want the unnamed Vengorian Lord, who is now much more expensive. But I still think you take the unnamed one and you just use Luca Vi, or Lauka Vi, whatever you say it, because her model is so cool. Direwolves getting cheaper is great. I'm a Virkos fan. I've talked about it on the channel, actually. I did Path to Glory as Soulblight Gravelords. I'm oddly really familiar with Death Armies. Though it's usually other people's armies that I am borrowing or told to play. They're fun. I think Kato going up 5 points is okay because so much other stuff is going down in points. Crits of the Rat Prince, the Lady Annika, the Thirsting Blade, the Necromancer going up 5 points. I don't care because Radikar the Beast went down 5 points. Like, there's enough for the little that went up in points. There's enough stuff that went down in points that you would take anyway. Like, I would take 2 units of Direwolves. I like them. That's down 10 points, and then that supplements the Necromancer, Radikar, I love taking. And if it's Goroslav, cool, there you go. Vampire Lord and Foot staying the same, the Vengoria Lord staying the same. That's great. That's great. Manfred going up, good. Because let me tell you, the amount of times where the dude just teleported out of combat, so I couldn't kill him with armies that I brought that didn't have shooting. I don't like that dude. I didn't like him for the end times. I think he's the worst Mortar. There, I said it. I think he's a coward having that teleporting ability. You know? That Prince Vordry going up points. I don't know that we really needed that. Same with Neferata. But it was only 5. And the generic Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon that a lot of people just took anyway now has more space between it and Vordry. Because for a while you did want to take Vordry. He was points effective compared to a regular Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon. I'm okay with this change. Again, it's more of, do you want Vordry or do you want a cheaper customizable Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon? You have to make a choice. And that's okay. Black Knight staying the same, love it. Blood Knight's only going up 5 points. Again, you know, if you take a Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon and you like taking 2 units of Blood Knights, you still made out as being 5 points cheaper. And I like doing 3 units of Blood Knights and 5s. So that just evened out. My list wouldn't have changed. In fact, Fellbats got cheaper. Love them for screening. And then again, if we go back up to the Wolves, because I like playing Virkos Dynasty, because I'm weird like that. You think I'd play Castelli, but no, I'm all about the Wolves. It's just Blood Knights are that good, even outside of their own faction. I can get 15 of them for 600 points. Yes! That's fantastic. I don't need them to be battle line. That's okay. Corpse carts not changing are great. They're already really cheap to start with. I don't know how I'd feel if they got cheaper. The rules are okay. One thing I want to see, real quick, Graveguard did not change points. We're good. We're fine. We're there. White King on Skeletal Steed did not change points. I really actually, because I did it with the Pants Mafia on their YouTube channel that I don't even know if it exists anymore because they stopped making content because they all moved away from each other. My White King on Steed, Sir Galahad, love him so much, and he unlocked, or the foot version, the foot version would be the champion. So probably go with the foot version, though my heart's on the one on horseback. They make Graveguard battle line, so that saves up your battle line tax. Especially if you're bringing Blood Knights like I like to, and then screening with Dire Wolves or Fellbats, depending on the build. These are all healthy changes. And Vargeist going down points is fantastic. The Vargskir and the Verkos Bloodborne all going down points, good. They should. And overall, again, healthy. Who dat? Skaven. Yes, yes. Plagueclaw Catapult going down points. Good. It really should. And hopefully now people will start bringing more infantry, so we can shoot stuff. The Warp Lightning Cannon and Giselles and Clan Rats not going down in points or up in points is great because, again, we said before, artillery pieces that actually can't shoot at heroes if they're close to friendly battle line units. That's like their whole shtick. Skaven not having points changes to go up because they see play is okay because it kind of got a nerf just for the Handbook edition. Storm Vermin, the Doom Wheel going down, great. Hell Pit Abominations going down. What is that? 35 points. Fantastic. There's a lot of green on the Skaven chart. But let's look at who went up here. The Vermin Lords, Warbringer and Deceiver went up points, which is reasonable, and Thankful and Bone Ripper going up on points. Yeah. Okay, let's be honest, Skaven players. We all saw this coming. We know. Having those flamers and the orb is being big, meaty, and punchy. It sucks, but this is the world we live in. And the Plague Priest on Plague Furnace going down 35 points blows my mind. The Screaming Bell going down 45 points. I mean, good, because in the new book it wasn't as great as it used to be. So we'll just have to see where that goes. But the Plague Furnace is still really, really good. And the Grace Siron Bell being okay at 280, it's really all you need with that. And then a lot of these, again, because it's such a big book. Doom Flayers going down, Gutter Runners going down, which is fine. Clandestine needs love. Rattling Guns going down. Rat Swarm's going up. I haven't seen a Rat Swarm in years. And plenty of Plague Monks, though. So yeah, again, we're looking good for that. Then Scryer Acolytes. They need an update on their model because they can't be sold singly. Storm Fiends, which we talked about before, again, they got kind of nerfed based on the addition and their shooting. But that just means instead of sniping a hero, just go blow up a unit of like 30 dudes in it and then punch them with the more melee-focused options on a Storm Fiend. They're gonna be fine. They still kill things really good. And I've had a unit of 6 Storm Fiends kill 20, 30 Phoenix Guard of mine, even with my ward saves. You know, it's still a great unit. They just serve a different purpose. And again, I wonder about the Warp Lightning Cannon not just being a hero sniper, but now it's got to go back to just shooting monsters. And if we switch from, like, it should target a Maw Crusher to, you know, they drop the Maw Crusher in favor of, you know, like a Mega Boss on foot, I don't know. Well, first off, I don't think any Mega Boss players, any Iron Jaw players, going to not take a Maw Crusher. So I think there's still going to be enough target-rich opportunities for Skaven Artillery to shoot stuff. And even then, dropping a bunch of Mortal Wounds on a unit is still really good. Because if the unit's not there, they don't score points by taking your objective from you because they didn't actually have enough bodies to get on your objective because they're dead. Skaven's going to be in an okay place. And not bad, not good. Well, I'd say not bad, not great. Still really good. And a really good pilot is still going to make Skaven feel great. Especially with the Bell of Doom Endless spell getting cheaper. Yeah, they're going to be fine. Then what do we have here? Nurgle. Maggot Kin of Nurgle. That is a lot of green, which is Nurgle's color. Yeah, they've got some good points drops here. A lot of stuff really didn't need to change. And I'm glad that the book that everyone freaked out about saying it was too weak is actually doing fine. The Glotkin getting cheaper is completely understandable. The different Heralds of Nurgle getting cheaper, that's fine. The Great Unclean One getting cheaper, that's fine. Rodigus getting cheaper, yes. Because again, it's one of those things where he's a named Great Unclean One. The unnamed version can be customizable with my command trait, what I want to give it. Rodigus can't be. I love that the Beasts of Nurgle are not touched. Puscoil Blightlords only going up 5 points, and Rotmire Creed only going up 5 points feels like they didn't get changed at all. Because, again, a lot of people really do... Oh, Nurglings got cheaper, too. Okay. You know, you take the Glotkin that had a bunch of this, you're already down an extra 50 points. You can afford these changes. You'll be okay. Especially with these heroes. People like taking Horticulus, Horticulus, Slimex anyway. The Rotbringer Sorcerer is cool. Yeah, this is fine. This is a great world to live in. Because again, you just take a great unclean one, and then the points changes are offset. Yeah. So here's the thing though about my question, because this is a point increase for the single Pusgora Blight Lord, but not the 2-pack, which is what everyone was scared about, is the actual full unit. So were these supposed to go up in points? So should this actually be 260 to go down to 130 on a single? Even then, I'm still fine because, again, of all the things I've mentioned before, with all the other points decreases, that some of the stuff you were taking anyway. Um, and even then, it opens up more options for some of these named heroes. I think we're fine with Nurgle. It's a good light touch. Zinch, the Change Caster, and the Changeling, and the Zangor's going up. Okay. Um, Got Summoner on foot went down, on disc went up. Lots of these heroes went down in points, which is great. Kyric Acolytes staying the same is fine. The Blue Scribe staying the same. They're my favorite Zinch hero. I love them so much. They have caused me such misery from several different Zinch players to where I've killed them on sight. I don't even know what spell they brought, what little. Nah, they're just on site. We're fighting. They're public enemy number one. Um, Thanks to probably 5 or 6 different Zines players I know that are really good players that love bringing them. Um, yeah, the rest of this is really good, and everything else going down in points for the most part. And then the changeling, I don't know. I haven't seen a changeling in the wild in a minute, so I can't really talk on that. And then the change caster, because they have a cool ability. I get that. That's fine. Screamers going up points. I think 110 still isn't bad. And enlightened on foot getting cheaper makes sense to me because everyone just takes them on a disc with the bows or the or just as enlightened. Yeah, makes sense. Um, does this mean we're gonna see a bunch of burning chariot meta? Probably not. But people still like magisters on discs. Uh, the flamers of Zine stayed the same. The exalted flamer stayed the same. Horrors didn't change points or rules or abilities for once. Again, life is good. These are a lot of good drops for things that are more flavorful. And the shaman getting cheaper. If you were going around Zangor, Skyfires, and Enlighten on discs, you loved that change. And the fact that the Lord of Change didn't get points changes is fantastic. Next, Corn. A Skull Cannon at 110 is just amazing to me. Blood Warriors getting cheaper by a lot, which is good. Fleshhounds getting cheaper. Again, these are 3 things that people love taking in Corn. Blood Reavers staying the same. Bloodletters being 110 for 10 is still really good without any changes there. I do love that the base sizes are on this chart, by the way. 40k needs to get on that. Blood Secretor going up 5 points. I don't care because the Blood Warriors that I brought all the time anyway are, what, 30 points cheaper? Come on now. Come on now. Get excited here. So much of this stuff went down in points. Scar Bloodwrath, I hate that man with passion. I don't really hate people, but Scar Bloodwrath can just go screw right off with his dying and coming back to life. Slaughter Priest didn't change. Scarbrand went up 10 points. That's not enough for it to really matter because look at all these points drops. I want to see more Mighty Skull Crushers and Korgoraths in lists. But yeah, if you brought 2 units of Flesh Hounds and a unit of Blood Warriors, most people took anyway because it came in the starter box. You're paying for the Blood Secretor, or you're covering the difference really of the Blood Secretor going up points, Scar Blood Wrath, and Scar Brand. And the Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury went up 5 points. Oh no. Because people like the Insensate Rage, because that's the one that has the exploding mortal wounds. The Unfettered Fury was the pile-in one, and the Wrath of Khorne just I don't even remember what it does. Is how little I see it lately. Man, very good and healthy changes. The Bleeding Icon, the Hexgorger Skulls, and the Wrath Axe didn't change points. That's great. Magor's Fiends with Rip Tooth got cheaper. More Blood Tithe points to be generated really easy. Garrett's Reavers also got cheaper. There's 60 points for 5 models. You take those and sacrifice them to your Blood Altar. You're going to love yourself for that. And then we're going to get into Sylvaneth. Sylvaneth, yeah, that was quick. I always feel like there's more Khorne units, but it's all the Forge World stuff. Sylvaneth, which might actually be my new, my next army project. Well, not might actually, it is actually. I am building a bunch. I'm going with an Oakenbrow and then a Heartwood list. I got some nice deals. The fact that the Lady of Vines went down 35 points because it was the brand new model they did all the marketing around, and then nobody played her. Just it still shocks me to this day about that. Because really, the way you fix her is instead of it being on a 2-up, summon a unit of 10 Dryads once per game. Just give me a free unit of Dryads off of her once per game, and make her aura work better. She's 290 points. Drycha even went down, and Drycha's really good still. The fact that your average Tree Lord went down about 30 points as well. Like my Oakenbrow list just gained probably 120 points between that, the Tree Lord Ancient, and the Spirit of Durthu going down. And again, people keep bringing the Spirit of Durthu because it's really cool. So it'll offset your Kurnoth Hunters with Scythes going up in points and your Revenant Seekers going up in points, which are reasonable because, again, the rend on the Scythes on the Hunters negates the mortal wounds that the Sword Hunters can do. So now we live in a world where the Great Bows are really good for their cost with their shooting because their own trees don't block their way. And Spite Revenants that just dish out all these mortal wounds are down 15 points. Yeah, this is a very healthy place to be for the Treeple. Alariel getting a nice point reduction there because these are point reductions that really matter and will affect list building. And then we get to the Warsong Revenant where only went down 5 points. Pardon me for that alarm. Again, that's not going to matter because it'll offset the unit of Revenant Seekers you had. And the Warsong Revenant is still as close to an auto-include for a lot of magic-heavy builds as you'd want. Also, I think it has enough wounds to be a Galatian champion. Because you'd look at this and you think, all right, the Arch Revenant and the Branch Witch. But if the Warsong Revenant counts, you will just not even think about the other two. Because it's just that much better. Whereas for me, if I'm going heavy on the Kurnoth Scythes or Bows, the 120 some odd points I just got in my list building from all these drops and points are going to go right to adding an Arch Revenant if I didn't already have one. Or to adding in extra endless spells that didn't change in points. Sylvaneth is in a fantastic place. Then we have Seraphon. That's a lot of red. All the red and green makes me think of Christmas that just finished. Engines of the Gods going up points and Sarsgaard going up points, good. Saurus Warriors going down points is good. But still on with the Arc of Sotek going up points. That does not make sense to me at all. Its rules are bad. It is objectively worse than the Solar Engine. But it's so cool. I wanted it to be cheaper. Because it got a little bit cheaper, it would have been amazing for its points cost because it's still a Bastiladon that's shooting out snakes. Um, so it's just okay at 180. It's not amazing at like 160. But again, neither here nor there. Um, some of the skink heroes going down in points is get skink the Ripper Chief and the Pterodon Chief. There used to be a meme build where you gave it the one of the artifacts where it, like on a 5-up you insta kill an enemy model and you put it on the Pterodon or the Ripper Chief because they were just like a flying missile. So that seems to be back on the menu. Hmm. Astrolith Bear going up points again. This is all these point changes make sense. It's a very well performing army, and it has been since the book came out in second edition. Um, Stegodon with Skink Chief. People figured out that was good. Oh, that was some secret tech for a while. The Salamander Hunting Pack going up points. I always love to see that. And the Pterodon Riders and the Terra Wings going down points is fantastic. Yeah. And overall, none of this surprises me. The Slan Starmaster going up points. Again, none of this surprises me. This just makes because what you'd have a Slan, you'd have a Skink Priest that didn't go up points. The Star Priest went up points. That's great. Then you have probably a unit of Chameleon Skinks for deep striking shenanigans that went up points. Croak didn't go up points, but he was already really expensive. The Astrolith Bear going up points. The Sarsgaard going up points. That's like 25, 30 points already. The Solar Engine, I love at least one, if not two of them in a list. And then, flavor your battle line units to depending on the sub faction. You had a really solid army, including these salamanders going up points. So again, Skinks. Oh, Skinks went up points. That's funny. They're still really good as battle line though compared to Saurus Warriors, but we're getting to that point where Saurus are a little more durable, but Skinks have shooting and take buffs really good. And then that's the debate for their opportunity cost there. Because you'd think the shooting unit would be more expensive, but we're not there yet. And we have more. Then we've got Lumineth Realm Lords, Spirit of the Mountain going down a lot of points. The twins going down points. The Stone Mage going up again. If you're taking a Spirit of the Mountain anyway, the Stone Mage going up in points is inconsequential. The Wind Spirit is finally in a good spot where it's not being touched. The named hero on Goat Thing, Lionor Uthrael, going down points is great. Lord Regent, by the way, actual name that went down too. The Banner Blade going down is fantastic. All these are really good changes. Stoneheart King going up in points is reasonable. Because again, you need to find a difference between Alvalinor and the unnamed Spirit of the Mountain. Especially if the cool combo is Alvalinor and Stoneguard and they went up in points. Huracan Wind Chargers going down in points still makes me think that the Kangaroos are going to do great. Sentinels being healthy at 150 surprises me, considering my Deepkin Reavers are at 170 still. Dawn Riders going down points is fantastic. Where were the Windstone Mage, Huracan Wind Mage? We're doing this live here. Blade Lords, Pipe, Dawn Riders, Wind Chargers. The Lore Seeker didn't change in points. That's interesting to me. Venari, Sentinels, Blade Lords, Dawn Riders. Where's our stabby boys and girls? Bannerblade, Venari. Huh. I must be overlooking them. But yeah. Oh, again, overall, this all makes sense to me with what everyone's talking about and worried about, and how they perform. I'm okay with this. Yeah, Venari, Arlon, Wardens. Where are you in this? Lovely, lovely. It's okay. We'll get back to them later, I'm sure. Stormcast points. My boys, my original home faction, my boys and girls in gold. My Lions of Sigmar, how I painted them, because I wanted to be different. Fulminators going up 10 points. I get it. Okay, listen. Since the nerf to Living City, they just haven't, and losing the hero in the new book that used to give them run and charge. I'm still sad about that almost 3 years later. It's okay. We got them. They're good. It's okay. Castigators going down points. I don't think I'd still take them on. Like, they're good. They're not great. And they're, no, because again, this book has so many war scrolls. I have the ability to pick great war scrolls. So, good war scrolls. I own 9 Castigators. I used to like running them in 6s. They're great for cheap screens that do a little bit of chip shooting. Yeah. But why am I not taking other things? Aether Wings going up points is actually going to affect the armies that I ally them into more than Stormcast lists. And that's okay. Here's the part that I'm very excited about. Evocators, down 10 points. My beloved Drac Alliance, my favorite unit in my Stormcast army, hands down, went down 40 points to where they frickin' should have been at 240. Finally, Praetors going down 5 points. Prosecutors with Javelins going down to be the same as Hammers. Again, great screens. Protectors going down points. Retributors going down points. Gryph-hounds, again, I love Gryph-hounds. I want a bunch. Stormdrake Guard, staying the same. Good. Stormstrike Chariot going up 5 points. Makes me sad. Because I really love mine. Vanguard Hunters going down points. Paladors going down points. Hurricane Crossbows, which to me are just amazing for their volume of output. Going down 30 points. Amazing. The Everblaze Comet not going down points for getting touched is horrible. Fix it, Games Workshop. It should always be pulsing out mortal wounds. More of this. The Judicators didn't change, which is great. Ballista went down. I love my 2 that I own. Sequitors going down 25 points and Liberators going up 5 points. This is interesting to me because Sequitors are objectively better because they can give themselves either exploding hits or a ward saving combat. Liberators just get +1 to save. Whereas if I could just do that with a command point for Sequitors and still have the ward save after, I don't get why Liberators went up points. That's really where I'm going with this. Um, Sequitors needed to go down. Liberators did not need to go up. Vanquishers and Vindictors staying the same is fantastic. Astrid Soulbright, good for her. Aventus, you still probably need to go and get an extra spell cast. The Celestant Prime, this is because it's such a great ally. Gardas Steel Soul, my boy. Because I played my Lions of Sigmar with the rules for the Hallowed Knights. And I've got my Gardas. He's on my shelf. He watches over all this stuff. Giving me that ward save. Which, again, if it can give out a 5-up ward save, that is amazing. Going up 20 points. I get it. I don't like it. But here's a little tip for all those at home going, Rocco, why aren't you caring so much? Vindictors stayed the same points. But because my evocators on Dracolions went down 40 points, I'm actually not feeling any points changes right now in how I build my personal Stormcast list. Knight and Canner got cheaper. Knight Quester got cheaper. I actually really like the model. I have one on my Chariot, actually. But yeah, between my Chariot and Gardas and then the evocators getting that much cheaper, along with the Lord Arcanums and all these other heroes that'll be Galatian champions. The Lord Castellan going up points. Again, we're breaking even at this point. Lord Commander Bastian Carthalos staying the same. Good for him. He's a powerhouse. And Paradin getting cheaper. Lord Relictor and the Lord Ordinator. I have a fun story about my Lord Ordinator where a buddy of mine charged him into combat to kill him, and my man Volcanus, Lord Ordinator Volcanus, took his giant hammer and beat the snot out of his would-be attackers. And it's been like an inside joke with us. Love that it got cheaper along with the Ballista to make that a bit more viable. And the Lord Relictor going up 5 points is okay because of all the other points drops. It's very popular. That's fine. Neve Blacktalon being that much cheaper than the normal knight version of herself is interesting. The Lord Veritant going down points is fine. Drakesworn Templar, the original big dragon, it needed to go down points. There's so much other stuff that's really good. Andrasta staying cheap. I love it. Karazai staying the same points. That's me, dude. We're good. My Stormcast list got cheaper, even with some big points changes. Then we have the Battle Scroll that's probably gonna drop. Excuse me. The only actual update, rip my living cities, dude. The Daughters of Cain get an update to stop scoring additional victory points because they've removed additional victory point scoring from the different battle tactics now, which is fine. Roar being one primordial call point, Beast of Chaos are still in a fine spot, Coins in a great spot. Flesh Eaters always have a 6-up word, which is great. This is all fine. What's left? There's more. Okay, Daughters of Cain finally getting some points adjustments, in my opinion, in the right direction. With the Hag Queens and then the Shadow Queen going up and Witch Elves going up. The Cauldron of Blood going up. What's really going to happen is if people are still running a Cauldron of Blood, they'll probably drop it in order to pick up other stuff that got more expensive. No one's going to run Doomfire Warlocks. I love them. They are amazing. It's just, again, an army of great things. Something that's just really, really good is going to get overlooked. And that is a shame to me. Heart of Fury going up 5 points is fantastic. Life Takers going down points, while Heartrenders go up, whatever. Overall, Blood Sister's going up points, but Bloodstalker's not. Sure. There's enough wiggle room in points where you'll just... Like, Sisters of Slaughter got cheaper. Sure. You know, this is good. It's in the right direction. I don't think it actually will do enough for Daughters of Cain that have perennially been like the second or third best faction in the game since they got their first book. You're in a great spot as a Daughter of Cain player. All right, that's just straight up. Daughters of Cain have all those usable sub factions, amazing troops, great output. This is not going to be that big of a damper on your day. Then we have Volkite Berserkers with the Fire Slayers, who very much needed these point drops. I don't know that the Rune Master really needed an up in points, and neither did the Grimwrath Berserker, but I feel like that's future-proofing the Grimwrath Berserker for the upcoming General's Handbook, because it's not a leader, but it is a hero. So, I mean, the thing is, though, everything else just got so much cheaper. And, like, Volkite Berserkers needed to get cheaper. I don't think these are cheap enough. Just straight up, I don't think these are cheap enough. The Rune Father getting cheaper is great on foot. The Rune Smiter on foot, great. The Rune Sun stayed the same. The Magma Droth with the Rune Smiter on it got cheaper, fine. Rune Sun and Magma Droth stayed the same, so the Lofnir army is still fine. Where you spam a bunch of Magma Droths. Life is good. Yeah, they're fine. They're in a fine place. They're a good 3 and 2 army. That'll be very consistent. You're gonna find some matchups that are a little tough for you, and then some where you're just gonna run people over. And watch out for mortal wounds as them. That's all I can really say. Nurgle is a rough time for y'all if you're not careful with getting those disease points. But these points drops for you are really nice. You know, and if you weren't taking it already, take the Runic Fireball and Flame Spitter. Because that's probably what you'll get with these points drops if you're taking enough of this stuff, are some Endless Prayers, which are great. All right, then we have Deepkin. The Sharks went up by points, 5 for each individual shark. But Shelly Baby Girl, the whole reason I did this whole review for the points, which probably should have been its own video, went down 40 points. Aspect of the Storm went down 35 points. The Soul Raid with the Crab went down 30 points. A Tidecaster went down 10. I love my Tidecaster so much. People laugh at me for taking her and not doing the Aspect of the Sea, but I love my Tidecaster and the ability to have 2 rituals. It is so nice. Ishlayan Guard and Morsar Guard going down points is fantastic. I think Ishlayan Guard could actually get a little cheaper, and now they're in my personal list. I don't think I will still ever touch Volturnos again, because I always took him for his ability to ignore magic. But what do I care if my whole army just destroys theirs before they can get spells off, because my generic Achillean King at 250 is just so good still. You know, that's the question here. And the other question is, again, are they going to walk back and let the Deepkin heroes that have the companions that also technically count as a mount, but they don't actually ride them, like the little fish that float around, will they let them be Galatian champions? This is a big question, and it's the difference of, will I actually use my Tidecaster to try to do a battle tactic or two? I don't like bringing a Soul Render anyway. And funnily enough, my army as is, because I have 3 sharks, and the turtle went down 40 points. I was already a little bit below points. Do I upgrade my sharks to be eels? and lose out on the shooting of the shark and the neg 2 ran 2 damage bites because I don't need to charge my sharks to get the damage that Morrstar Guard get on the charge. Morrstar Guard also get mortal wounds though. That's something that my personal list suffers from a lack of. So I don't know. But the plus side is the list that I won a tournament with now, I think it went from 1995 to maybe 1970 points, something like that. So because I do have I have Stormcast Aether Wings in there that are taking up points now. But Deepkin's feeling really good. And then we have Caradron Overlords with a lot of points decreases. I'm gonna start rapid firing some of these because again I've played against a lot of them, but everything got cheaper. Brock Rudinson going down 40 points. About frickin' time. The frigate going down is fantastic. The fact that the gun hauler went up points is and the ironclad staying the same is wonderful. Then we've got Beasts of Chaos that aren't getting changes because they're going to have a new book in a minute. So just wait 2 seconds and you'll find out more about that. Chaos, we've already seen their new book, so that's why this isn't here. I'm just scrolling through. It doesn't matter. They're getting a new book. These points don't matter. Gloomspite gets, hey, guess what, everybody? They're getting a new book if you didn't know. Same deal. And then we get down to Ogres. Iron Blaster going up points is totally understandable. Thank you very much. The Butcher going up points, I don't get it. Glutton's going down points, and the Scrap Launcher going down points. It'll offset whatever goes up here. Noblar's going up 20 points, though, as a unit. It's sad. But they put out so many mortal wounds, it's not even funny. This is all fine. That's all this is. It's fine. These are little tweaks. Life is good for an Ogre player. Gut Rippers are now 150 for Auric Worklands. And I am so happy for people who like Gut Rippers. At one point, there were 180 points, and it was just the stupidest thing to fit into a Cruel Boy's army. These points drops are amazing for the Cruel Boys. The points increases for the War Chancer. The Savage Big Boss makes sense. Gordrak, the Fist of Gork, going down 40 points to 500, which I feel like that's where he should be. Yeah, it all makes sense to me. Mega Gargants. Alright, so hear me out. Okay. The Mercenaries got cheaper. That's more for a buff of the other armies than yours, but you can still take them. That's fine. King Broad getting cheaper, so he's usable by 30 points. That's drastic. Odo Godswallow going down to 50 points is also drastic, but you know what? That's okay, because your stuff is still really good. You're just encouraged to not play 4 Mega Gargants, pick 3 you like, and then fill in with Man Crushers. And you'll play a better game because you'll be able to screen out with the Man Crusher Gargants and use them to go and fight for objectives in the middle of the board until you can set up better charges. Trust me, I play Mega Gargants. I play against them a lot. Take 3 Man Crushers. You'll love it. It's a great time. And then here we have the Endless Spells, the Aether Void Pendulum, which is probably still my favorite spell because it can't go back and hurt you when it got cheaper. The Burning Head got more expensive because, sure, it gets spammed a lot. Geminants went up 10 points, but that's a reasonable point amount. I'm okay with that. Yeah, Life Storm didn't change. Cogs didn't change. The rest of these points all make sense. Again, Ravnax, Gnash, and Jaws. A lot of people used it. So, of course, it's going to go up in points. That's just what's going to happen. A lot of stuff went down in points. And I've got 30 points to spare in my Deepkin army, and I actually have a wizard. Maybe I want to throw out a Prismatic Palisade, or my Pendulum that's sitting over there. Maybe I switch something around and throw out some Quicksilver Swords. Purple Sun didn't change. Life is good. The Kronspine didn't change, but people are dropping it anyway. Go Trek went down 5 points. I don't know why. Cities, which we're getting a new book eventually, but this is just Band-Aid patch stuff. Freeguild Guard got cheaper. Dark Shards got cheaper. A lot of our staples, Longbeards, got cheaper. The Hurricanum and the Flamespire Phoenix went up points. That's fine. The Frostheart on its own stayed the same. These are the unmounted non-hero versions, too, by the way. Dread Spears went up points because they were so cheap to be sacrificed to a sorceress. The Charybdis didn't change points, but it's only 130, so my buddy Cal might actually be worth taking because he's gotten so cheap. At one point, he was like 170 or 180. The poor thing. He needs a new War Scroll. Battle Mage just stayed at 100 points, which is fine. Dorelia Van Dents, the best Van Dents you ever did see, went up 5 points. Ugni, the Rune Lord, went up 5 points. Galen, Dora's father, went down in points because he's so bad. He's just the melee version to her heavy crossbow. He's not bad. He's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. He's just not as popular because he's a little bit harder to use because he's closer range. That's it. And he's named and unique, so he wouldn't even be a GC now. Rune Lord went up in points, but that's fine. People are understanding the power of a Rune Lord. Sorcerer stayed at 90 because she dies to a swift breeze. Anointed on Frostheart, Phoenix went up 5 points. Totally understandable because it's an amazing model. And again, if my Freeguild Guard going down 5 points offsets my Frosty Bird and the Rune Lord, because I like bringing like 2 units of 10 Freeguild Guard to be his screens, my list didn't functionally change and I'm fine. Dora going up 5 points. Again, there's stuff to trim. Blackguard going down. Dark Riders going down. Demigriffs going down. Demigriffs need a little bit more love, I'm going to be honest. Drakespawn Knights going down is great. Here's the fun part. So Phoenix Guard got cheaper, but the bird got slightly more expensive. So my actual build, again, breaks even because of how all the points kind of change out. If you... Iron Drakes didn't change. Phoenix Guard. I don't know why people stopped taking Phoenix Guard. If I need to go back to playing cities to just use Phoenix Guard and be like a jerk in Hammerhall, sure, I'll do it. Fine. You twisted my arm. If I need to go back to Living City, because Sisters of the Watch even stayed the same points. Wild Riders are 120 for 5. That's cheap. That's cheap for some okay punch. They'll fight dire wolves and be okay. You wouldn't want to fight too much more, but they'll earn their points back. They'll pop a screen for you cheaply. Shadow Warriors being 120 is really nice. Again, these are all really good points, and that was actually the last one. So, thank you for coming to class today. I know it was a long one. I know it was a whole 2-part thing. This is why I didn't do the battle plans today. That's going to be next week's video. Because, again, this is just so long. Thank you for coming to class. As I like to say at all the end of our videos, class dismissed. And if you actually like this video and this kind of content, because I normally don't cover leaks like this as they happen, I'm more about teaching you what you want to know. People ask questions and I answer them. I'm trying to restructure a little bit to be a bit more for a broader audience. If you're liking this, tell me. Leave a comment. If you don't like it and want me to go back to answering questions, say so. I've got an encyclopedic brain for all this kind of crap. And, I can just... I had a reason why I liked or disliked every point thing and then said in the grand picture of things, does it really matter? Does it affect your stuff? And almost everything Warhammer is still really good for Age of Sigmar, for the units. Life's fine. We're gonna talk battle plans next week. So bye.